Board of County Commissioners regular meeting September 21st, 2023, 9:02 a.m. Please turn your cell phone to vibrate, silence, or the offsetting. The Board of County Commissioners allows any person to speak regarding an item on the agenda. The speaker is limited to 2 minutes unless otherwise determined by the chairman to allow for sufficient time for all speakers. Speakers shall refrain from abusive or profane remarks, disruptive outbursts, protests, or other conduct which interferes with the orderly conduct of this meeting. Commissioner Berry, do you have someone for the invocation?
Yes, sir. Pastor Ray Brantley from the Church of Christ at Milestone. Is he here?
Pastor Ray.
I do not see Mr. Brantley, and I'm going to take it he's not in the foyer. Mr. Chairman, if in that case, we'll, if everybody rise, we'd give recognize a moment of silence. And
Absolutely.
Move into the pledge.
Thank you, sir.
Please join me in a moment of silence. Thank you very much. Mr. Chairman, you will lead us in the pledge this morning?
Thank you, I will. Join me in the pledge. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Commissioner Berry. Are there any items to be added to the agenda?
No, sir.
Thank you.
Nothing for me.
Thank you. Thank you.
No, sir.
Thank you. Wes, nothing.
Mr. Chairman, I would like to add some discussion to the end for the board. If we would, it's something that we've discussed in the past, but I don't know that anything has happened with it. And maybe a little bit of discussion this morning would kind of urge that on or prompt that on with some of our colleagues from the Island Authority. But I'd like the board to discuss asking the Island Authority to bring forward a standard residential lease for the residential leases on the beach, one that one that mirrors the title transfer and the deeds that were done when Escambia County divested Net and Navarre Beach to Santa Rosa County some decades ago. If the board might discuss establishing a uniform lease and having that come from the Island Authority back to our board. Like I said, it's something we've discussed in the past, but I haven't seen it come forward, so perhaps we could remind them that that's important to this board if we take that up at the end.
I mean, do we need to add, or do you, I mean, I think we just, right here, I mean, yeah, I mean, I thought we've discussed it before and instructed them to do it, so,
Whatever is best.
I don't even if we need to add an item, for action. I mean, if we directed them to do it, you want to have this discussion now and direct.
I mean, again, I thought we'd already done that, so,
I was pretty clear that that's where we were too.
Yeah,
Majority of the board in agreement, then if it's not necessary to discuss at the end of the meeting, then I'm okay with that.
okay.
But Steve, I also want to go a step further. I want to look at these condo leases when they come. We know what happened at Beach Club and some others where they got the deal of a lifetime. And we've got several of those things. I've worked with Chris Jones. I brought that a number of times before. Your predecessor, Robert, didn't want to do anything. But I think when we bring a standard residential lease, we also have to bring a standard condominium lease. And the lease fee has to be what the ad valorem tax would be, or they have to make the choice to pay. I mean, but they can't have $100 lease fees on $1 million condominiums on the top of Beach Club. The taxpayers got fleeced. So when we have that discussion, let's not do it halfway. Let's do the full discussion. Let's go all the way.
This would certainly include that. It would just, the only thing it would exclude is, would be some of the strict commercial leases currently, but, beginning with the residential, which would include the condos.
And Jeff, I would just say that, I mean, of course, we've had the Island Authority email us now when those do come up, so
Yes.
that it doesn't happen again. But yeah, I thought we'd had direction on that previously, so.
Rob, you have any idea what's held it up? I mean, because that was a while ago when you directed
I
that.
think probably just turnover and.
Okay.
But, I mean, again, that's where I thought we were already headed, so.
Yeah,
What's the pinch point? What's been the pinch point on that? Steve?
Hard to say. I mean, I think at times our board, it's happened. I think a number of times, whether it's on the BCC administration side or even on our side. Sometimes the board gives direction, and if we don't, if we don't follow back up, sometimes things just don't happen. So I think this may be a case where, I think we gave some direction, but nothing's happened. So for whatever reason, we need to kind of poke again.
No, I appreciate it. No, you'll have my full support on that. Thank you.
Yeah, and Steve, you have my full support, and Robert, certainly, the Beach and Allen Authority is kind of your lane. I stayed out of it, but Jeff, I'll tell you, I'm very adamant. I mean, we give a lot of resources there, and so, I mean, if you want, the services that you're getting, and we've certainly upgraded those services. I mean, we need that uniform lease, and people have to pay for what they get. I mean, if people are not willing to pay for it, they don't deserve it. I mean, we put a lot of energy into the island, and it's, other neighborhoods need that same type of service. I mean, so I think when there's direction that's being given, we deserve the respect that they reply back to the commissioners. I'm certainly not leading that charge. I leave it to Robert and to Steve. But if we request anything, we should get it, because from the trolleys to the public works, there's a lot that's going on in Island. And so I think that, we have to be aware of that, and we have to acknowledge that, but we also have to make sure that people are paying for that. Thank you. Are you satisfied with that, Wes? Is that good enough? That's good?
All right, and Wes, I did not mention this on Tuesday. I didn't see this detail in there, but I need to abstain from item 24 on the budget and finance portion. One of the vendors listed creates a conflict, so I need to abstain from 24. Madam Council, can you have somebody prepare me a form sometime?
All right, that's fine, too. Well, when we get to that. Well, we'll move. So if there's nothing to be added, if that's good, Chair will entertain a motion for
Move to
adoption.
adopt.
Thank you.
Second.
Please vote by just raising your hand. And fine, so we good. And that's probably what we're going to be doing today, because of some malfunctions, is just raising our hand. Commissioner's forum, Commissioner Bagash.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I just want to thank all the residents from Perdido in District 1 who came out to our town hall on Monday. It was very successful. Lots of folks there. We talked about a lot of different issues. Just want to thank each of the citizens who took time from their busy lives to spend a couple hours out there. I also want to thank the staff. We had every department represented, particularly the star of the show that night, who was probably up at the podium 90% of the time, was Chris Phillips, because it was all about traffic, and we appreciate his participation and his knowledge. Just a great evening, and I just want to make sure that I acknowledge everyone's hard work on that night. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Commissioner Boggs. Commissioner Kohler.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just a couple things I want to highlight. I want to thank Jamie Higdon again. Last week on Friday, I was at Oktoberfest at St. Thomas, and I got a message from Vernon Watson that a limb had fallen down, and it was getting dark, and his team sent someone out right away, and it was a public safety issue, and I just want to thank them, and whoever it was, Jamie, that did it, please give him my thank you. The other thing I want to do is, we had a really successful appointment last week, or a week and a half ago, with Admiral Quinn getting on the Defense Support Task Force for this area. Some of you may know Jim Scholl. He was appointed as well. He's a retired Navy captain, but he's also a commissioner in Monroe County. But those are two good guys that hopefully will help us with some of the stuff going on with the base. And then just a way ahead, congratulations to Baptist as they move in this week. I know a lot of us have been out there, but they've been moving stuff, and that's going to be instrumental change for our community for decades to come. So good job, Baptist. I look forward to seeing your new home.
Thank you, Commissioner Kohler. Commissioner Bender.
Thank you. And with that, and I see Jen back there, I think she would agree that working with our EMS in facilitating that has gone well. And so I'd like to recognize our staff that's been involved in that, because of course that's a big task that we haven't seen in this area before. So, but best of luck to Baptist and to EMS and what they've set up to do that. We're going to be having a neighborhood cleanup in North Point on Wednesday, September 27th, and the residents in that area will receive a postcard to have the items listed by the clerk by 7 a.m. Of course, we also heard last week that Visit Pensacola received the Henry Flagler Award, for the Best Special Event Promotion for the marketing of the 2023 Sun Belt Conference Basketball Championship. In a similar thing, I think we've also recognized Michael Rhodes and his team for winning the FRPA Small Market Award for Sports Tourism. I know we mentioned that last week, but that's a pretty big deal, and just shows the hard work that Michael and his team put into putting on events, keeping the venues up, everything like that. And then finally, our condolences to David Stafford and his family over the loss of his mom. So, thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Bender. Commissioner Berry?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I appreciate you mentioning that, Robert. That's all I was going to say is thoughts and prayers out to our colleague and our friend, David Stafford, on the passing of his mother. It's something that, over the years, David and I have been friends and ran in the first cycle when he won Supervisor of Relations in 2004, taking over for Bonnie Jones. But he had never mentioned that his mother's first job was teaching in Cantonment at Jim Allen. I didn't realize until I read that in the paper. So he never shared that with me. But it's many of us have lost parents over the years, and it's very challenging, very trying time for he and his family and his brothers. And it's my thoughts and prayers are with David during this time.
Thank you, Commissioner Berry. And, obviously, Dad was a judge, and I interned in Senator Connie Mack's office under Bobby Condon and Dave when I was in college. So Dave and I go back a long way with his family, so our condolences are with his parents. Also, our prayers are with Georgia Blackman, who was a great entrepreneur, great civil rights leader, owned the Gathering Book Center. I spent the weekend at the hospital with her, and unfortunately 2 days ago she lost her battle with cancer, and it's very unfortunate. And our prayers are out to Chris and Teresa and to the entire community. Mother with the entire Movement for Change and NAACP, all the difference that she made. We want to continue to pray for her. Also, I don't know if Claire Long is here. I know we released the utilities, and for a week our phones could not get through. So, Claire, can you give a quick update where we are on this utilities? Because I can't go to Tom Thumb, I can't go to Walmart. I mean, it's becoming very uncomfortable.
Yes, sir. As of today, we received over 100 applications, and we are working through those applications. It is a slow process due to just documents are not presented at the time of the application, but so we are working that process.
Okay, and we did move the LAHEE money that we did not give to John Johnson. We moved that for direct services for us, correct?
It's available. It's available for services for. So there are some applicants that have applied through our emergency rental program that have maxed out, and they're still needing assistance. But we do have the funds available.
Well, I mean, we got to be using those funds. I mean, if people lights are behind and they get turned them off, there's no sense in us having the money in the bank when people need their utilities paid.
Okay, we can definitely tap into that.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks. And my two colleagues did bring up the Move of Baptist, and I'm glad Jen is here. And I don't know if Jen wants to give an update, but I certainly want to say that obviously I'm meeting again today with Jen and Mark Faulkner. We've had some meetings. And one, I mean, obviously we want to thank our EMS, and they got great compliments. I also want to thank Stephen and what he's done to help with the municipal tax-free bonds. I mean, that's a significant savings for the end users for Baptist. And Jen, I don't know if you want to say anything. You're welcome to come up if you like. But I certainly want to be very clear in our position that we've had some real direct conversations with Jen. Some of the promises that we were making that we would not leave that neighborhood, and I'm assured that Baptist is not leaving that neighborhood, that we're going to be partners in. We may be coming back to have further discussion, on how we keep health care there. That's going to be critical to us, as well as feeding. I say the story, Jen, and we've had it. My brother was born there 56 years ago, and my mom's probably eating dinner there more than she's eaten anywhere else, along with many other people in March Court and Addis Court. So I just want to give you an opportunity to kind of say where we are and where we're going with this move, because they're both in my district. I appreciate the other two commissioners adding comments, but ultimately the people that it directly affects are the people that I represent, and so it's very important to me that we continue to work together, and that we provide those services, particularly the services that we said that we're going to try to keep. So Jen, the mic's yours.
Yeah, thank you, Commissioner May and other commissioners. We are really excited to be able to invest in the future of healthcare in this community in the way we have. And just a few kind of public service announcement reminders. The Legacy Baptist Hospital Emergency Department will close at 3 a.m. Saturday morning. The new Baptist Hospital Emergency Department will open at 3 a.m. Saturday morning, 3 a.m. and 1 second. We can only maintain one. We can operate one at a time. So we will start the patient move at 5 a.m., as has been mentioned, with significant planning, direction, and support from EMS. Eric Gilmore, Chief Torcell, who has moved hospitals before, and we are incredibly grateful for the county's support in this move. And we're excited. We are ready, and we will look forward to keeping the public updated as we go through that move. We expect all patients to be moved sometime between 5 and 7 p.m. Saturday night. We are planning for and fully confident we will have a safe and efficient move to the new campus. Regarding the Legacy campus, we are keeping about 275 team members and leaders there. Some of our teams will remain there in buildings that are smaller buildings, not within the hospital and the towers complex itself. We are moving what was previously known as the Baptist Bistro, our hospital cafeteria, into the new campus, but have enjoyed our discussions with Commissioner May, are continuing to follow up on, we know what the healthcare needs of the immediate neighborhood are while Baptist Hospital is there, but until we move, we won't really know what they are once we move. And so we're talking with community partners and others about what is the best way to assess over the interim period, as we discussed with you, Commissioner May, what are those needs and how do we best provide for those needs as a community. I also want to give a shout out to county support to help us with ECAT. We were able to get a direct bus line from the E Street campus to the new campus, which will make it much easier for folks who rely on public transportation, who have primary care and specialty visits and such at the new campus. So greatly appreciate the county's support, really excited about what this will mean for healthcare for our community. And also, of course, I saw Stefan walk in earlier, always appreciate Stefan's support as well. Thank you.
Yeah, and Jen, and for the record, and so I want to be on record, as you said, that the county's been a great partner. I mean, from ECAT to EMS to our finance, and on record, how diligently we are working. I mean, Jen will tell you, I think the bistro should stay. I think there needs to be some type of feeding there for the citizens. I think, Jeff, whether it's Help and Hope, whether it's community health, we got to provide that. I can just tell you, if you leave a abandoned building or a abandoned neighborhood, which is almost surrounded by some blight, it can deteriorate. So I want to offer my public support of whatever we need. And I know we're going to have a further
Fantastic.
conversation
Thank you.
later today, but I know that there are some uncertainties in the community about what will happen, and that creates anxiety to people. And so I know we're going to have a private conversation, I want to publicly have it, to assure citizens that we're working with the mayor, working with President Wiggins. I think we're going to have Allison Patton on a call today, maybe to address some of the homeless issues that are facing that neighborhood. But we are willing partners, and we have been willing partners in helping out, and we want to continue that and make sure that at least those needed services are there. And so I know we're doing housing, but I know people need to eat, because if they don't eat, they get sick. And so if I don't eat, healthcare is no good. So, Jen, I appreciate you taking the time this week. I know y'all are busy in a transition, you, Mark, and John Porter, but to find time to talk to me all week, I certainly appreciate it, because
Anytime.
this is very important, particularly, and I'm going to be candid, it's very important to the African-American community, and many of the African-American leaders in the Baptist Church donated their hard-earned money, their sweat, and their tears for Baptist Hospital. And many people don't know the history of University Hospital, which was a public hospital funded by the county, which was the only hospital that people of color and people like my mother and grandmother could go to, and the rescue was Baptist. And that, as Mark said, that brings a sentimental value to me, and it really does bring a sentimental value to me that somewhere that you've been around 54 years is leaving. But I don't think the Baptist has to leave. I think we're just expanding, and we can continue to have those services there in that
That's right, and
neighborhood.
continuing to serve the neighborhood. And to your point, Commissioner May, typically a hospital redevelopment of this scale can take 10 to 15 years. We have been working actively since the announcement of our move with the county, with the city, to make that a much shorter timeline for this redevelopment. So thank you for all your support, and we'll keep you updated over the weekend.
And Robert, I'll let you
Yeah.
go, but not,
Jen,
Rob, one thing before I
Yeah.
do you mind. Jen, and so probably, I don't know if you want to speak for the mayor, but is there an update on particularly the funding that's coming from the delegation? Do you want to like briefly speak on
Sure.
that?
Thank you.
And then Robert, you can do whatever you want.
Okay, thank you. Yes, we have been working with the city. Of course, that campus is within the city limits. And prior to this mayoral administration, with the previous administration, previous city council, and this current administration and current city council, on how could the city play a role in that accelerated redevelopment. There have been historic investments by the state of Florida in attainable housing, particularly in this last legislative session. Part of that also was a redirection of some additional CDBG funds for Hurricane Sally impacted municipalities and counties, as you all know. And $5 million of that was dedicated to the city of Pensacola for the redevelopment of the Baptist Hospital campus. We still have estimates that the demolition, abatement, and/or adaptive reuse could be anywhere from $15 to $20 million. So we are working closely with the city to look at if there's a potential for additional state funding to support that. We welcome the county's investment as well. It will be a historic redevelopment to bring much-needed attainable workforce housing within that part of our community. So we have meetings with the mayor next week, still working through some details of what we are working toward is helping to secure that funding and then donating that campus for the redevelopment purpose. And we do have some contracts underway currently with Paces and Soho Housing. That's who built Brownsville Manor, runs Century Manor, Fairfield Manor, a not-for-profit affordable housing developer. Those applications are into the state for low-income housing tax credits. That is not Section 8 housing. That is mixed income housing, everywhere from 30% of area media income with lower rental rates all the way up to market rate rental opportunity. And then the balance of the campus in the redevelopment vision would be for single-family homeownership opportunities, where both city and county ship and sale funds could be utilized to help buy down payments, down payment assistance and such as we move forward. So we continue to work closely with the city and also with our legislative delegation, and we are hopeful to be able to bring to them a specific ask that kind of denotes what happens if that funding is received, what and when can that redevelopment occur.
Jen, I have a question, and you simply, you led to that because you know my position is, Robert, I'll tell you, the bistro and the hospital that Moret did in 2012, 2013, I really think it'd be salvaged and could stay there. And I know we have engineers and consultants that made something, and so that's kind of what my support would be. But when we look at the bonds that we're bonding, and so we hadn't closed, if we were providing assistance, would we add that to the bond, or what would you be looking for us to expand?
I will have to talk to our accounting folks about that, Commissioner May. I'm sorry, I don't know how that would work exactly.
Okay. Well, Stephen, let me ask you a question. Wes, could we expand the bond now or not? Or is it locked? So if, as she said, if we were trying to save the buildings, we were trying to give her some more money, could we expand that bond, or are those bonds locked in right now?
So, Commissioner, what I would say is they are certainly locked in to the rates and the amounts that were provided. Doing a bond issue is a very nuanced application, to get those funds. So what would have to happen is they would have to basically go through that process all over again, and of course, current rates and things would apply. Potentially could cost them some additional interest. As we know, all the interest rates are going up across the board.
So if we added $5 million, we couldn't add $5 million without changing the rate, is what you're saying?
If you did a reissue, yes, because what they're going to do, they would take the existing bond unless there was capacity to issue just a separate bond. And that would be something that bond counsel and our financial advisors and folks that do that would have to do that analysis to see what would.
I just want to make sure we exploring every opportunity.
Sure,
I mean,
sure.
particularly if it's an opportunity to keep some legacy buildings there and figuring out how do we do that. I mean, and sometimes it may be a little more expensive to keep a building than to tear a building down, but the cultural value and the sentimental value sometimes outweighs the economic value of a project.
Sure, but absolutely it could be looked at is ultimately the answer to the question. Certainly it could be looked at.
Thanks, Stephen. I appreciate it. Commissioner Bender, I'm sorry. Commissioner Kohler, then Commissioner Bender, I'm sorry.
Yeah, I just want to highlight, I know a lot about this, as you know, because I was on the Health Authority when we signed the bonds for you. So this situation, they would have to go back, the bonds would have to be re-rated, and it could affect it if whatever they added. Now, the county adding money could be okay, but I don't think that bond deal that's currently there could be changed without having a separate bond deal and rating. I just don't think it
Good.
can.
Well, absolutely. We don't want to, we just want to explore every opportunity. But, today is probably not the day to have that discussion. But, Robert?
Yeah, so I was going to talk more about the immediate issue, so, and I don't know if you want to talk about or
Thanks, Stephen.
if I have Eric come up and talk a little bit about what's going to happen on Saturday, the route, things like that. Do you want to talk about it, or you want Eric to come up?
I will invite Eric to.
Okay.
Yeah.
So really, this is more of an advisory for people that are going to be out in the area on Saturday.
So it's not true that you're the grand marshal of that parade from there?
You know,
No, we're going to have a parade. It's going to be a parade for 12 hours.
As long as he goes through District 4, he'll be the grand marshal. He loves parades.
No candy will be thrown. That's exactly right. So the move will actually start at 5 a.m. that morning. So we'll be convoying ambulances in groups of 3 so that we're not doing onesie twosies across intersections. They'll be escorted by the Escambia County Sheriff's Office. They'll be controlling the intersections for us. So we can get to and from pretty quick and then get them turn and burn is what we're trying to do. The goal is to have them done by 5 p.m. that afternoon. So the route will come from down East Street down to Palafox, not Palafox, but 29 back to Brent, and they'll drop off there. Then they'll hit the interstate, go down, and return. So they're not taking the same route back and forth. That way we're not crossing ambulances up. It's just going to be a big loop is what we're going to be doing all day long. So
Do we have patrol on the routes, Eric?
Yes. We have control of routes. Sheriff's Office will be, they've got 12 officers, PDs offering up officers for the city, traffic lights and everything. So it's going to be moving pretty quick. So advise everybody along between the Legacy and the new campus to avoid being tied up in traffic and being held up at the intersection, avoid that loop area, go around it. But we won't hold anything up on the interstate. It'll be wide open going. It'll be the traffic lights from the old campus to the new campus.
Robin, have we put that out yet to the citizens? Do you know?
not that I know
Y'all were
of,
put,
but
Baptist has put that out, so, but we want to make the citizens aware that it starts at 5 a.m. that morning, and we'll be hopefully done, knock on wood, 5 p.m. that afternoon, knock on wood again. But I do want to say that since they're closing at 3, and in case anybody walks up to the old ER, we will have an ambulance stage there to take them to the new campus because that ER is closed down, so we have contingency for that as well, in case anybody presents. So, but I do want to thank the Sheriff's Office, PD. I want to thank Jamie Higdon. I mean, you don't think about the logistical wraparound services. Jamie Higdon's involved now. He's going to have fuel trucks, spare tires, a mechanic on standby, just in case we have anything break down, because we want those clusters of ambulances going together at one time. And then we've got emergency management there helping with Thor. Thor will be set up as an outside command with their staff, our staff, and everybody monitoring out there. So this is not just a simple, load them up and take them across town. This is an orchestrated event. So.
perfect. So I, again, hope it goes smoothly and of course, great work to all of our people that have helped. It's, I know you guys have been working on this for a long time, specifically the details of Saturday. With that being said, I just want to let you guys know and let the drivers know, we are already looking at the traffic pattern in front of the new hospital on Brent, as the traffic flows between 29 and Davis. So I talked to our traffic control, and they said they're already working on it a little bit. So we know that there will be a big influx of vehicles coming that way next week, and so we just ask for some patience as we work through that as well. So thank you.
Oh, thanks. Well, Commissioner Bennett, you can help with that traffic flow. You wasn't here, so you can bring it up. We can open up Ralston Lane, as we should have never closed it, and it would help. So you can always bring that up. Commissioner Berry cannot bring it up, but you could, and you could probably get 2 votes if you brought it up, and it'd help with that traffic flow. Yes, I'm just saying. I mean, you could bring it up, and I think you'd probably get 2 votes for someone having the vision to close down the road. Now we have traffic flow problems. But with that, Wes.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'd like to bring Dawn Seitz up. We have a new Deputy Director of Waste Services, and I'd like him to introduce her to you.
Thanks, Wes. Good morning, Commissioners. I'd like to introduce our new Deputy Director for Waste Services, Kara Shrimshock. Kara recently relocated to Pensacola from Houston, Texas, with her husband, Rick, and son, Tristan. Most recently, she was running a landfill and transfer station operation in charge of all aspects of the operation, safety, financials, and so on. Prior to that, she was a hazardous waste operator and has experience with both fire and hazmat response.
Good morning, Commissioners. Thank you for the opportunity to work in beautiful Escambia County. I've been here in a very short period of time, but I can already tell that this is a county full of directors, deputy directors, people in a community that really care about the city and the area that they live in. And I'm very much looking forward to each and every one of you, working with each and every one of you on making this place, continuing to make this place beautiful. Thank you for the opportunity.
Welcome aboard.
Thank you.
Thank you for being here. Thank you, Bo. Wes, anything else? Chair, accept the motion for the adoption and ratification of proclamations.
So moved. Second.
You want to try it? We're going to try electronically, guys, see if it'll work.
Mr. Chairman, it looks like it's not showing for everyone. I'm sorry, we can, okay, sorry.
I tried, Robert. All in favor, raise your hand. Passes 5-0. Okay, Commissioner Kohler? Yep. So we're going to do Radio Live, and then secondly, we will do Captain Alan Colby Brady.
Well, hello. You guys excited? Big day. You wanted this, huh? Well, as many of you know, the Radio Live program's been going on for 35 years. And we wanted to recognize them for all the communications they do and stuff to make us aware of the great things going on in the county and stuff we need to learn about and enjoy. I'll go ahead and read this and then we'll go forward from there. Whereas WWF Public Media Program Radio Live made its debut in September 1988 as part of the inaugural celebration of University of West Florida's third president, Dr. Morris Marks. And whereas the entire staff at WWF worked tirelessly each month to bring quality entertainment to the Pensacola community and surrounding areas. And whereas the program was designed to showcase the abundant regional talent WWF's listening area along with an occasional touring guest artist. And whereas over the years, the focus shifted to bringing a unique and electric mix of musical artists from around the country to share with our community. As the show's reputation and popularity grew, so did the caliber of the artists seeking to perform on Radio Live. And whereas today Radio Live brings to Escambia County some of the best singers, songwriters in the county who might otherwise never visit or see our area. And whereas Radio Live is both a live concert and radio program broadcast live at 88.1 FM on the first Thursday each month before an audience of nearly 300 music lovers at the Museum of Commerce in historic Pensacola Village. And whereas September 23 marks Radio Live's 35th anniversary of undying efforts to bring talent, entertainment, and happiness to the residents of Escambia County, Florida, and beyond. Now, therefore, be it proclaimed that the Board of County Commissioners of Escambia County, Florida, hereby proclaim the first Thursday of every month as Radio Live's days and join in celebration of Radio Live's 35th anniversary since its debut. Board of County Commissioners, Escambia County, Florida, Luman May, Chairman, District 3, Steve Berry, Vice Chairman, District 5, Jeff Bergas, District 1, Mike Kohler, District 2, and Robert Bender, District 4. Congratulations. Thank you so much. He wouldn't stop me.
Thank you all so much for this recognition, and I have several members of my team here this morning. This has been a labor of love for us for 35 years. And we've watched it grow. We've entertained artists from literally around the world. And I'm proud to say that the citizens of Escambia County, who are the majority of our audience, the love and appreciation that they show to these artists is resonating in Nashville and other music capitals. And they know Pensacola, Florida is the place to come if you want to be a singer-songwriter and perform. So thank you so much for this.
When are you gonna have karaoke night so I come sing? I love karaoke.
Mr. Crawford, Pat, let me just first thank you. I mean, you got a bunch of, I got a former Titans, Tish, and I mean, all those out there, but I think Commissioner Berry and I both are former Argos, and we love UWF and the great work that Martha Saunders is doing, and you guys have just, that radio station has been a part of our life, and thank you. I mean, when you think about fixtures and guys that's been around a long time, I mean, you're a familiar face, and thank you and your team for all the work that y'all do for our university and for our community. It's well appreciated. I know I do, and I know Commissioner Berry would as well, being a former Argo.
Absolutely, and they just got, the roads just got resurfaced out there. It's really nice getting onto campus now, so it's, yeah, it's beautiful.
And it's hard to find a parking space during a football game, so that means that our teams are doing good. So it's great. So please tell Martha how much we appreciate this university, and we look forward to working with you in the future.
Yes, sir, I will do that, and thank you again so much.
Tell Brett I said what's up.
So, if y'all want to just, whoever you want, yeah, it's up to y'all.
Can we get a couple more people on this side, please?
It doesn't matter.
I'm tall, I can get in the
Yeah,
back.
come on. Y'all gonna make me look bad. I get by all the beautiful ladies.
All right, 1, 2, 3. Thank you.
Thank y'all. The next proclamation is kind of sentimental to me. It's probably one of the neatest things I've done for someone, Captain Brady. I'm going to give a little history. I want you to come up, sir. Captain Brady was a POW for 6 years, but what I don't think most people know is he was more than just that. He was a child in Pearl Harbor on the day of the attack. He was part of the Bay of Pigs. He was part of the blockade. One of his Naval Academy friends got shot down on Flight 77 on 9/11. He's wrote an awesome book, and you're one of our heroes. He's 94. He threw the baseball out the other day, and I heard you got past the plate. That's what I heard.
I got the plate on third bounce.
Oh, is that how it worked? Okay, well, I know you and Colonel Hubbard were out there, but I don't think many people in our community know this, and I called Dr. Albano the other day and said, how many do we have in Escambia County? How many do you think we got, POWs? I didn't know this either. We have more than any other place in the United States. We have 7. And I thought we only had 4 to 5, but he's a hero, and we're fortunate to have him in this community, and I've become friends with you. Oh, I want to share one other history piece before I read the proclamation. So I sat down in his house with Commissioner Dixon and State Representative Altman. The state recognized him. And in that, Bill brought us all his flight logs. And Bill Dixon, former commissioner, was on the Essex the day before Captain Brady got shot down over Vietnam. And so that was a special day for all of us. We had a lot of great conversation. I know it means a lot to Bill. He still shows me the fight logs. I have to put up with it, but it was good stuff. So let's read this and recognize you, sir. Okay. I need my glasses. I'm getting old. Whereas Captain Alan Colby Brady was born on August 15, 1929, in San Diego, California, and considered himself American at large, always dreamed on joining the United States Navy as a pilot and received his wings in June of 1953. The same year, he married Louise in South Carolina. They celebrated the arrival of their son, Richard, in 1956, and their daughter, Lisa, in 1959. Whereas his over 30 years of service, Captain Brady served in 17 missions and found himself on the frontiers to all major events surrounding the emerging Cold War, nuclear proliferation, America's first fight against communists in Cuba, and the Vietnam War. And whereas Captain Brady received the Distinguished Flying Cross for participating in aerial flight during the period of April 15, 1958 to June 20th, 1958, as an effect test pilot for Task Group 7.4 in connection with the Operation Heart Attack at Inowak Proving Grounds. Huh?
Hard attack,
Is that what we said?
not heart attack.
Yeah, I may have a heart attack. Hey, you tell me. Whereas, as the fatal day of January 19th, 1967, Captain Brady was shot down while leading a flight of A6s as executive officer of Attack Squadron 85, deployed aboard the aircraft carrier USS Kitty Hawk against the strategic Don Phong Railway Bridge. I think I said that right, in North Vietnam. If I didn't, you can help me out.
Nobody can pronounce that.
Okay. And made prisoner of war until the release of March 4th, 1973. It's a long time, partner. Whereas Captain Brady's conspicuous gallantry and intrepidity during the time as a prisoner of war, I'm struggling here a little bit, in North Vietnam, his diligent devotion and loyalty to the United States and resisting routine cruelties and attempts to be used in causes detrimental to the nation indisputably made the worthy of the Silver Star, the Legion of Merit, the Distinguished Flying Cross, the Bronze Star, and the Prisoner of War Medal. Whereas Captain Brady maintained daily contact with the North Vietnamese guards during his imprisonment and helped in maintaining good oral and discipline among the prisoners, and also served as an educator providing diversion and rehabilitative thinking to his fellow prisoners and help improve morale and well-being during their long internment. And whereas Captain Brady retired from the United States Navy in 1979, and in the early 90s, he lived aboard a sailboat for 6 years, where he used his sailing prowess to assist in the liberation of exiled communities of Cuba, and now lives in Florida with his wife, Diane. Captain Brady authored the book Witnessing the American Century. It's an awesome book. Via Berlin, Pearl Harbor, Vietnam, the Straits of Florida, originally published in 2019, where he details his experiences through crucial moments in the 20th century. Now therefore be it proclaimed that the Board of County Commissioners of Escambia County, Florida commend the express gratitude to Captain Alan Brady for his lifelong dedication to the defense of our country's freedom in celebration of National POW MIA Recognition Day, to be observed on Friday, September 15, 2023. Board of County Commissioners of Escambia County, Florida, Lumen May, Chairman, District 3, Stephen Berry, Vice Chairman, District 5, Jeff Bergosh, District 1, Mike Kohler, District 2, Robert Bender, District 4. Thank you, sir. You're a good hero. And Diane's actually real Navy. She's a nurse, so I call her real Navy RN. You too. Yeah, you hold this? You want to say something?
Oh, yeah, sure.
Okay, I know you. It's your mic, sir.
Okay.
If you want to say anything.
Well, I'll keep it short. It was a short life, too. So we had the honor the other day where I'd throw the first pitch out at the ball game. Now, I don't throw the baseball. I didn't play baseball ever. Played a lot of other sports, but not baseball. And so it was kind of interesting. The guy that was introducing me, he said, "It's Captain Brady. He was in prison for all these years and way back." And you know,
It was Admiral Kozad, wasn't it?
Huh?
I think it was Admiral Kozad that was the presenter, wasn't he?
I must have been.
Yeah.
But anyhow, this guy was announcing out there next to the home plate, and he says to me, he says, "Captain Brady, when was the last time you actually threw a baseball?" I said, "Yesterday." Everybody says, "What?" And because I had a friend of mine, we did a little tossing back and forth because I hadn't thrown one in every year. So it was a great honor. I was very lucky that not just to get home without too serious injury, but also got the good news when I got back that I was not having to pay for the airplane I crashed. It's only
Such years that we owe that to you.
$6 million. I said, okay. Well, I thank you very much. Pensacola is a wonderful place. I've lived all over the world. I lived in the Philippines and Hawaii and all that. But and I lived in a lot of places in the United States. Somehow we came to Pensacola, I guess through flight training and all that. But we selected that, and I've been living here for, 40 years or so. So it's a great, one of the greatest towns I've ever been in. It's very patriotic and so forth. Anyhow, thank you very much. There are many people that deserve this more than I do, so I do appreciate it.
Thank you. Your humility is amazing. We'll take a photo. Come on, Diane. You can come around here. But, well, they want to flip this around. All right. Thank you. You don't have to stick around. And I'll be bringing you 2 plants this week.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for your service. Proclamation C, welcoming the Most Worship Grand Master Jeffrey Jones for the annual zone visitation of the Most Worship Union Grand Lodge, State of Florida. I will present it on Saturday myself. Written communication, Madam Attorney.
Certainly, Commissioner. And so the board is aware on both the first and the second written communications. It's my understanding, and Mr. Day or Mr. Davis can correct me if I'm wrong, it's my understanding neither one is in compliance, so they are both still properties out of compliance?
So the 22101 North Pace has one property that,
Let's deal with one
Okay.
first, because we have a speaker for two. Let's deal with one, and
Okay.
then we'll deal with two.
Okay, so the first request is 201 South Navy Boulevard. This is a District 2 property. This property had nuisance conditions to include trash, debris, overgrowth, and a dilapidated commercial building with deterioration to roof, windows, and doors. There was a special magistrate hearing on June the 6th of this year, in which the magistrate found the property to be in violation of all of those ordinances. The owners were given until October 4th of this year to bring the property into compliance. However, it is not currently in compliance as I understand it, but they wish to have relief so that they can sell a property that has been tentacled by the lien at 207 Milton Road, so they can get proceeds to come back and finish or address the nuisance conditions that still may exist at 201 South Navy Boulevard. The amount of fines is accruing significantly. The court costs were assessed in the amount of $1,100, an abatement of more than $23,000, daily fines of over $125,000. The total lien today would be $150,000, but they still have until October the 4th to come into compliance.
Madam Secretary, to help address some of that, there's some confusion there. It's kind of a mix of both different cases here, but 2201 North Pace Boulevard with Mr. Horn is the property that has the $150,000 plus on the lien. And he currently has another property, 7741 Kershaw, that is drawing fines to date that needs compliance. But he's asking for a partial for one of his properties that he owns in order to pay for the lien.
Yes, my apologies. The court costs in this case for 201 South Navy Boulevard were only $250. The compliance date is, however, by October the 5th, so they have until October the 4th to come into compliance. Fines are accruing at $30 a day. There's not a total lien amount because it's still an open case. My apologies.
So, year-to-date, what's the lien amount right now?
Currently for 201 South Navy, it is nothing because they do have a deadline of October 5th.
Other than the $250 in court
They
costs.
do have 250.
But we
It's
can't
still-
waive anything, can we, until it's assigned?
I would suggest that it is still under the jurisdiction of the special magistrate, and that my opinion would be that you should stay out of it and let the magistrate address it upon completion and compliance. That is what my advice would be.
Okay, Mr. Day?
Thank you, Commissioners. So the request isn't, or at least should not be, to remove the lien at Navy. It should be a partial release on one of the properties that's been spidered to. The request is if we'll do that partial release, they will sell the property and utilize proceeds from that to abate Navy. But I would not suggest that we release Navy from the process.
Yeah, it's not clear-cut to me, but Commissioner Cole, this is your district. Go ahead.
Well, I'm running on clean environment, so I'd like to know what you're going to do to clean up Navy, ma'am.
Okay.
Ma'am, state your name for the record, and when you finish, would you please go sign in, because you didn't sign in as a public speaker, and just for the record, we just need you to sign in, but I'll let you
Okay.
go ahead and talk. If you would sign in, I'd appreciate it.
Okay, my name is Paula Riley. I am one of the inheritance. There's 12 of us. We needed to sell my mother's property. She passed away, to enable us to bulldoze down the old gas station. The probate took a long time, and we didn't even get things until right when we were in violation. So we need to get the lien off of my mother's house, 207. We had already sold it before we found out a lien was on it. And then we can bulldoze the gas station. That's all we're waiting on.
So, I don't think we should take the lien off the 201.
No, don't want it off.
Okay. Allison, is it okay to
It's-
do?
You have the authority to do a partial release of 207 Milton Road, which I believe is the property they would like to be able to sell.
Yes, ma'am.
You certainly have the authority to do that.
Is it in the magistrate right now, though?
They have until October the 4th, under the current magistrate's order, to come into compliance on the Navy Boulevard property. And they're wanting to use the proceeds from the one sale to fix the other one.
Okay, and there's also, we sold 204 Milton Road, which is my house, and it got stopped because of a lien. I was hoping maybe we could take that partial, that be part of the partial, but I don't have to. I can wait.
It just doesn't seem clean.
I mean, there's 12 of us that all have liens.
Allison, why would it come before us now before it closed at the magistrate?
There was a written communication. The administrator can screen these, and there, I guess, wasn't really a reason to tell them no. It's up to the board if you want to partial release any of these other properties to allow for the opportunity for them to have proceeds to address the open case. I would,
It's fine. Robert, and then call it whatever you want to do.
You said you already have a contract for the 207?
Yes, and 204, both of them.
But, I mean, the request
But
right now.
207 is what I'm requesting.
Okay, and how much is that? What's that?
85,000 is what we've been offered,
Okay.
and that would be sufficient to tear down the gas station. We already have a company, and he has put in for permits and hadn't got the permits yet.
Tim, I see you shaking your head. Is that accurate?
So there's a permit that's been pulled already on the gas station?
For it to be bulldozed?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, the company has already tried to get a permit, but he hadn't got it yet. He requested one.
He's applied, Tim, so he's applied for it? Can you verify that? Go ahead. You finished, Robert?
So, Allison, since they're selling the property, is there any way that we could put in the sale of the property that part of the disclosure has to go to destruct the 205 property, 201?
Or escrowing them out?
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. Could we do that?
the lien is the fastest, safest, easiest way to secure that. I'm not sure exactly how you're gonna go in and commandeer proceeds from a private sale.
I mean, the thing is if she already has one on 204, as soon as it gets resolved, then we could release that one. So, I mean, they have incentive to do it.
Right, I agree.
So,
I guess the county's taking a risk, ma'am, believing that you'll do that. That's the risk we're at. I'd be willing to make a motion to do the partial lien, what you're asking for.
Thank you.
Well, we got to vote. They may say no. Under the condition, you clean up 201 Navy. That's got to happen.
Yeah, 201. It's, like I said, the gentleman that's doing it, the company that's doing it has already asked for the permits. He just hadn't gotten them yet.
Lieutenant Davis, you have an issue with that?
Excuse me. No, sir, no issue.
Then that'd be my motion to make
So
a.
it's a partial release?
Yeah,
To
partial
to clarify, you're
Absolutely, I said that
moving
wrong.
for a partial release of the 207 Milton Road property only from the lien?
That's correct.
Soft costs. But we don't have any hard costs. Do we have any hard costs on
It
it?
kicks in October 4th.
Just the court cost.
There's
That's all we
two-
have is clerk costs.
The court costs are $250, but it's not yet memorialized into a lien because it's still an open case.
So what's your motion to pay the court costs at $250 once it's finalized and waive the daily fines? Is that what you're seeking? You're shaking your head, Allison. What, I
Yeah,
mean,
I think the motion is to do a partial release of 207 Milton Road. That's the current motion. That would relieve, that's taking all of this action off of 207 Milton. The rest is going to have to be addressed either with one of the other properties like 204 or the property itself, the one that's in violation. He's just parsing out the one
Yeah, I'm only
property to
giving
allow the
one, I
sale.
only want to do one so they can come back and clean up 201, because I'm trusting you're going to do it, ma'am,
Yes, sir.
so.
All right, well, there's a motion.
Second.
Second. Discussion?
Yeah, I just want to, so let me make sure I'm reading this right. So what other properties are also on this? So we have 207, 204, I don't see anything about 207 in the backup, I see 204.
204, 207. What is your address? There's a Mercado Drive. I mean, every one of us, every brother and sister,
Yep.
they put a lien on our property.
All right,
So we all have liens. So I'm just asking for this one
yep,
to be released.
yes, ma'am, thank you. Tim, did you find anything out?
I can just tell you that it hasn't been approved because it's not in the system, but she's represented that the contractor's working to get the demo permit.
Okay. All right, I'm good, Mr. Chairman, thank you.
All in favor, raise your hand. All opposed? No opposition? Passes 5 in favor. Thank you, ma'am. If you would just go
Thank
to the
you.
back and sign up.
Yes,
and
sir.
We appreciate it.
Thank
Thank
you
you. Good
so
luck with your
much.
property. Madam Attorney?
Yes, my apologies for getting ahead of myself on the number 2. So number 2 is a request for lien relief for 2 separate properties, one at 2201 North Pace Boulevard and another property at 7741 Kershaw Street. These are District 3 properties. In 2011, a notice of violation was issued to Rufus Smith, Jesse Horn, and Katie Horn for dilapidated, unsafe structure, nuisance conditions, trash, and overgrowth at 2201 North Pace Boulevard. It went to a hearing in 2012. The magistrate found it to be in violation, and court costs were then issued for $1,100 with a daily fine of $100 a day. It was eventually brought into compliance through a county abatement in 2015. That total lien comes to more than $150,000. That's the one that's $150,306.14. There's a separate code enforcement lien related to 7714 Kershaw Street. This one is owned by Jesse Horn and Katie Horn. They were issued a notice of violation in November of 2021 for nuisance conditions, trash, debris, inoperable vehicle, and a dilapidated house with unsafe structures, including roof, windows, and exterior siding. Due to a failure to abate the violations, in February of 2023, it went to special magistrate hearing, and the county was awarded $250 in court costs. They were given 30 days to bring it into compliance. It's, according to these notes, still in violation, accruing $50 a day since March the 10th of 2023. They are beyond the time frame they had to bring it into abatement. They are requesting lien relief because the homesteaded property at 5100 Chinook Avenue is cross-attached to these liens, and so it's causing up a problem.
Thank you, Madam Attorney. Officer Davis?
I believe Mr. Horn is requesting a partial for 5107 Chinook in order to pay for the liens at 2201 North Pace, the 150,000 plus, and also to address the 7741 Kershaw Street.
Hold on, because I'm not finding it in my backup, the dollar amounts. So what's he requesting?
He's requesting,
There's a
I'm sorry, go ahead.
homesteaded, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to jump in.
Requesting a partial release of his homesteaded property, which is 5107?
5107 Chinook Avenue, District 1.
It's cross-attached to the Pace property.
So you're trying to take a partial release to sell it so they can,
Okay, I have to speak for that. Excuse me. I have to apologize for District 1. I didn't bring you up to date on what everything was going on. We had the property, a contractor repair it at 2201 Pace Boulevard. And what happened was the contractor did his part, replacing the roof and everything. That's 2201 Pace Boulevard. But where the fire was, that part, the blocks wasn't taken down. The judge ordered me not to go on that property until a $30,000 estate lien was paid. The $30,000 estate lien was paid last September, I believe, completed. And then so the estate also had another house. They sold the house. I think Lake Estelle was located. But they didn't put the lien on that other house. They sold it right out, but they put the whole $150,000 on my residential. I offered them to pay $75,000 on my part and release my property so that I can make a $500 a month payment, $500 to $1,000 a month payment on that existing lien at 2201 North Pace. At 7741 Kershaw, there was a fire. We went in to repair the roof, but that was canceled because it was too much destruction in there. And so we got a demolition loan, a demolition permit. We tore down the building and left a porch, the porch there. The porch is not damaged. And so we got an approval that the demolition was complete and approved. I left a copy with District 3. I left a copy with District 2. That it was approved. It was approved. And now they changed to another officer came out, and he went back to the fire. But that was canceled. That was voided. And so now I have finally located some folks that I can get that porch part torn down. They got my money tied up, but I can't do nothing. And so I was asking to pay $75,000 to release my part of it and pay the remaining to release 51, my house, and pay start making payments on the 2201 Pace Boulevard. And now I'm finding out that was canceled. That was voided out on Kershaw Street. It was voided, completely voided out. And they just brought it up to me when we came in the last month. And they want to go all the way back in District 3 and fine me, what, $50 a day when that was voided out. We tore it down, completely tore it down, except for that porch. There were three different sections on that property. One was a little shotgun house, and then there was an addition to it. And when we got in there to repair, we just tore it down.
So, Mr. Horn, what are you requesting today? What do you want? What are you petitioning?
What I want today is to pay this at closing, pay $75,000, releasing my house, and start making the payments on that District 2, 2201 Pace Boulevard. I gave them all the information to them. I think I gave you a copy.
I think I got it, Madam Attorney. So he wants to pay. He has an abatement cost of $23,000. Daily fines are $125,000. He wants to pay $75,000 at 2201 North Pace Boulevard, correct?
At 5107 Chinook Avenue, my house.
I don't see Chinook on my backup, but.
They don't have it up there. That's where the lien is at, my personal property.
5107 Chinook is attached to 221. So that's what he's trying to get, so that he can sell it.
So what's the lien amount on that?
There's no lien on Chinook, it's just attached to and that is the total $150,306.14.
So basically what he wants to do is pay $75,000. We release 2201 Pace Boulevard and.
Release 5107
Hold on, Mr. Horn.
Chinook.
Hold on, Mr. Horn. And then release the homestead, correct?
5107 Chinook is the release that he's asking.
Okay.
This will take care of the Palafox if he's granted the partial for Chinook.
So, Allison, how could we do that if he wants to pay the $75,000 and then we release them both?
You can reduce the fines. You can go in and proactively reduce that to a different number, if that's what you're wanting to do, and then do a partial release to release 5107 Chinook.
Yeah, that's what I do. I mean, he'd pay the $23,000 306.14 plus the 1,100, and then the balance would go toward the daily fines, whatever that number is. And reduce that amount to that. I mean, because typically, if someone would come in, we probably would reduce those daily fines anyway. We probably would waive them anyway. So, I mean, I think in good faith, he's trying to pay something on something that we probably would typically waive.
Yeah, how much of the $150,000 lien how much is that of hard costs?
23,306.
23,306.14 for the county abatements.
Okay.
$1,100 for court costs, so $24,406.14.
So he's really coming in better faith than I've seen most people come. So, I mean, I could pass the gavel and make the motion.
Or I'll make the motion. You're talking about just take the 75 and.
Yeah, take the 75 and whatever.
And just, that way you don't have to make the payments anymore. You can just give us 75 grand. We'll waive the additional 75 in fines, daily fines. We've done that for other folks in the past.
Yeah, I think that's more than fair.
I think it's fair too.
Okay, so let us make this motion. If you stay up here any longer, though, it won't be fair. We probably won't get it done. So Jeff, you want to make the motion?
Sure. Yeah, I move that we collect the $75,000 and then release his homestead property on Chinook, and then we waive the balance of the 150, which is all soft costs. The 75, we waive that much. That's my motion.
Second.
We have a motion second. Please vote. That passes 5 in favor. Thank you, Mr. Jesse. Have a good day.
Okay, what about 7741 Kershaw now?
We're not addressing that because that's still with the magistrate.
Okay, thank you very much.
Yeah, we'll have to get that once it comes out of the magistrate, and we'll address that.
He's gonna be going to
Kim, you want to explain to him what we did, just so he'll know? Public hearing
Move
901.
away the reading.
Thanks, please vote. Oh, that's 5 in favor. All right, thank you, buddy. 901, Madam Attorney.
On the proofs of publication, I was just going to address, so the 9:01 a.m. public hearing does not have a proof of publication. I am, however, comfortable with you proceeding with that. This was at your last board meeting. All the state statutory notice obligations were met at that time. It was publicly announced at that time that it was going to be rescheduled to this day. So I'm okay with you moving forward on that one. But with regards to the other ones, you may want to inquire of the clerk's office if they've received them.
Mr. Chairman, the clerk's office has received all other proofs.
Okay.
We voted. We're good. All right. Have a motion for the 901. Steve, were you good with that? You had some questions, and I think.
Yes, sir. I'm good with it. If Mr. Chairman is good, I'll make the motion to pass the 901 A through D.
Second.
Thank you. Please vote. 5 in favor. Thank you, guys. Clerk and Comptroller's report.
Quickly, there are 4 items on the agenda. What's wonderful news is the TDT collection report for July that we received in August, 3.8 million. There's also 2, 3, and 4 will be unclaimed monies, debt write-off, and minutes and reports. I will tell you, September is a hard month on your staff. We are preparing to close the books to prepare for an audit, so staff is working diligently with my staff. I just want to commend them for the time that they've given to us. Thank you.
Thank you. Move the clerk's report.
Second.
Have a motion and a second for the clerk's report. That passes 5 in favor. Thank you. Brahars.
Yes, sir. For the GMR, cancellation of the 915 small-scale map amendment 2023-07.
Mr. Chairman, do we have any speakers on 1 through 4?
No, sir.
All right. Madam Clerk, Madam Attorney, can we take these at once, or do we need to take them separate?
Just do a motion to cancel all 4.
All right. Move to cancel the 915, 916, 917, and 918 public hearings.
Thank you.
Second.
Please vote. Pass 5 in favor to cancel all 4.
Yes.
All right.
919 is the second of public hearing to review the 2023 Campus Development Agreement for UWF.
We don't have any speakers, Mr. Chairman.
Review and approve.
No, sir.
All right, move the 919.
Second.
Please vote. Passes 5 in favor. Thank you. Wes?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. There are 15 items on the technical public service consent agenda. There are no changes and there are no speakers.
Move the technical and public service consent agenda.
Second.
Please vote. Passes 5 in favor. Thanks. Wes?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. There are 55 items on the budget finance consent agenda. Please make the following changes. Drop card 2-18, the recommendation concerning the issuance of a purchase order to SHI International Corp. for the purchase of Exagrid replacements with 3 years of support. Please hold.
18, Wes, we're dropping that?
Drop card 2-18.
Okay, thank you.
Please hold for myself, car 2-49, and hold car 2-24 so that Commissioner Berry can abstain.
Mr. Chairman, Wes, did you mention 35 to hold?
No, sir, Commissioner, I did not.
Please hold 35.
We'll hold 35.
Guys, we're going to take this, do y'all want to look real quick, see if there's anything either one of you want to hold? Because I know we're trying to get out of here by 11.
Mr. Chairman, I just want to make a comment on car 1, and I'm going to go with you, but the money in this stuff, I talked to Claire, I think I would like just to be on the record, because I think we can help some more people. So 2-1, I'd like to just make a comment.
Okay, well, let's just hold it. That's fine. I don't care. Oh, well, yeah, we already voted on that. Hold on.
It's car 2-1 he's speaking to.
Okay, hold on, Wes. Yeah, we're just going to, hold on. Let's just hold that, Wes. And is there anything else we need to hold? We're holding 35. Jeff, anything else you want? Hal? All right, if there's nothing else to hold, Wes, unless you have something, we'll just go ahead.
So we're holding car 2-1, 2-49, and 2-24, and 2-35.
Yep, I got it. Okay, so hold for discussion 2-1, 24, 35, 49, and then drop 18.
That's
correct.
Move the balance. Second.
Yes.
Steve, before we, typically, when we do the EAR Communities for Caring, it represents all of our districts. Typically, people help, you help, and Jeff helped. I don't know if y'all guys want to add anything to 50 for the community-wide Christmas that they're doing at
Absolutely.
WAR.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll put 1,000 for my discretionary into it.
Okay.
All right, Mr. Chairman, put 2,500 from District 5, please.
Okay. So can you add that to that 1,000 from Commissioner Begosh and 2,500 from Commissioner Begosh? And
And Commissioner Bender, you adopted that in your motion?
Yes, adopt that.
Okay. A second stands.
all right, all in favor, please vote. That passes 5 in favor. Thank you.
It's for kids at Christmas.
Mr. Chairman, I was trying to catch up. You're going quick, but I'll add 1,000 to that as well. If we can amend it. Sorry about that.
So yeah, we'll add another,
I'll do 1,000.
and Commissioner Bender's on 1,000. Do we need to go back, or can you accept that friendly amendment?
We'll just revote
Okay, revote.
Yeah.
No, sounds great.
with amended.
So Chair, entertain a motion.
Move with the amended amounts for item 50.
Second stands.
All in favor, vote. That's fine. I'm sure our friends at WAR would appreciate that, gentlemen.
Well, Mr. Chairman, maybe they can also report on the fact that we just passed the ATU collective bargaining agreement also.
Well, we ain't passed it yet. I'm gonna speak to that.
Oh, that's, sorry. Oh, that's right. That was on there. Darn.
Hey, but Robert, we're all hopeful, though.
Hey, we are hopeful.
We all are hopeful. I can just tell you that we are hopeful.
Well-
And Commissioner Barron, from the last meeting, I do owe to add something, and I'll bring it for Olive Baptist. I meant to add it, but we passed it as consent. So Pat, tell Ted that I am gonna add it on at the next meeting to support you. I will make sure Audrey adds that to the next board agenda. So we want to go back to the items that we're holding. Wes?
2-1, Commissioner Kohler.
Yeah, The thing with 2-1, I just want to have a discussion, because it's not that I don't support the SHIP program, it's the disparity in the amount of the assessed property to what we paid for. I want to look at that program in the future to make sure that we're using the maximum amount to get the most good up for people. This property was appraised at $46,000, and we're rebuilding it for close to $195, and there's no payback to the county. And I'm all for this program. I've sat down with Claire and talked to her in depth yesterday. It seems like an excessive amount to me that doesn't come back to the county, but I'm going to support it. But I really think the board should look at the numbers on some of these projects, because they seem excessively high to me.
I agree with that. I agree with you on that. I really didn't care. Is Claire here?
Garrett?
Okay, is this number out of whack, or why, this is a rebuild for 194?
Yes, sir. This is a demolition and rebuild. The current structure is a cinder block constructed house, so naturally those are going to be.
So they don't pay anything back in this program? I mean, so we
well-
did demo build and just hand it to them and the lien
There is a lien placed on the property.
for 194,000?
That is correct. Yes,
Do
sir.
they ever have to pay any of it back?
If they violate the terms, they do. Yes, sir.
Yeah, that
It's
seems
a
like an
15-year
awful lot to be given away.
It's a good deal, man. I'm going to tell her Winter Beach Haven to sign up.
Yeah, okay.
And
I mean, do we typically go that high?
yes, sir. Yes, sir. We do. We actually bid this project out. This was the 4th time it went out to bid, and this was the most competitive bid that we received.
All right. Yeah, well, Garrett, we may need to talk about it, but that's probably not our rule. It's probably SHIP rules and home rules, or is that by our ordinance and statute that it's automatically forgiven? Because it's not our funds, it's SHIP funds, right?
That is correct.
Yeah.
SHIP and home funds that
Yeah.
we use for this project.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, it's not out the general fund, but I mean, I agree, Kohler, it's high, but,
I mean, it's great that we're bringing it to our community.
yeah, yeah.
I just think we could probably build 5 tiny houses or 5 small houses. I mean, this is excessive amount of money.
But if I got children, you want me to put me in a tiny house?
Well,
If I'm
depend-
disabled, you want to put me in a tiny house?
Yeah, I don't know
If
the
I'm old, you want to put me in a tiny house?
Right, I don't know
Yeah,
the story on this. What-
Yeah, I mean, I get what you're saying, and people say, oh, tiny house, but, I mean, that's for a specific population. I mean, the tiny home doesn't work for everybody, you know, it's just not even conducive. People with health disparities and people who are obese. I mean, there's a lot, when people say, okay, let's do a tiny home, it just doesn't work for everybody. I mean, it works in some instances, I agree. But if you're good, Kohler, we'll entertain a motion.
So moved.
Second.
Please vote. 5 in favor. Thank you, Wes.
Car 2-24 for Commissioner Berry to abstain.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I, Stephen Berry, hereby disclose on September 21, 2023, a measure came before my board which inured to the special gain or loss of Ryan Shavers. The measure before my agency and the nature of my conflicting interest is as follows. Escambia County Board of County Commissioners meeting September 21, 2023, County Administrator's Report, item 224, recommendation concerning the issuance of fiscal year 2023-24 purchase orders in excess of $50,000 for waste services, presents a conflict of interest pursuant to statute 112.3143 Florida statutes, or the appearance of a conflict of interest pursuant to statute 286.012 Florida statutes, because Ryan Shavers of Ryan Shavers Construction is my client.
Thank you, Chair. Entertain a motion.
Move item 24 in the affirmative.
Second.
Motion second. Please vote. 4 in favor with 1 abstention, Commissioner Berry. Wes?
What's that hand signal?
I'm done.
Car 2-35 held for Commissioner Berry.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And Robert, you know, the board, I know the board allocated money for this, and I don't have any issue with the project itself, and I believe we have procured somebody to do the A&E, the design work for it. But it's a big contract, and we've got to somehow get more than one bid. I mean, you know, and you know, so my conversation with Wes yesterday, I'll just share you a little bit of my comments, and you know, often when we do things, you know, there's a narrative and there's a there's there's more of a story at the real time that it's happening. And then, sometimes you get a little bit of age on the decisions, and you don't necessarily remember the narrative or the story that kind of framed the decision. And, sometimes that doesn't age very well. And, the going out for it one time with one respondent and awarding it is one that, from my experience, hasn't aged well. I'd like for us to, even if we do an expedited, as speedy a solicitation as we can, even if it's 14 days or something. But try to put it out again. If we still have one respondent, then we move, you've got my commitment. I'm happy to move forward. But then it's framed in a situation where we went out twice and got one response, rather than just going out once and getting one response. And like I said, I don't have any issue with the project. I believe it was unanimous for the board to allocate the money for it. But if we could put it out for 14 days and just see if we can get somebody else to give another number, I would appreciate that if you'd be amenable to that.
That's fine.
All right. Mr. Chairman, I'd move that we drop this today and ask the administrator to put out an expedited solicitation.
Commissioner, by state statute, because of the amount of the project, it will have to advertise for 30 days.
Okay, well, okay. I didn't know that from our conversation yesterday, but yeah, then if, I guess, especially in, again, deference to Commissioner Bender, if it has to be out for 30 days, as soon as we get the numbers back in, rather than go through the normal timeline of getting on the agenda, if you would extend your hand to have it on the agenda immediately upon
we'll get it back.
closing.
We'll get it back out either this afternoon or first thing in the morning.
Yeah, but I mean, when the numbers come back, rather
Absolutely.
than somebody having to go through the timeline to get it back on the agenda.
Sure, absolutely.
If you would reach and grab it from the bid opening and get it back on the agenda.
Sure.
So we
Sounds
don't
great.
have to wait for it there.
We have a motion.
Second.
Second, please vote. 5 in favor. Thank you. Wes?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Car 2-49, this is the recommendation concerning the ratification of the Escambia County Local 1395 of the ATU/AFL-CIO Collective Bargaining Unit, which represents our Escambia County Area Transit. I just want to say it's been a long road. It's been a long haul. It's been 2 years' worth of negotiations, and I'm very pleased to present this to the board this morning. I see Ishmael with ATU there. I appreciate his input. And I want to say thanks to our team, Nikki Powell, Crystal Dedura, Rodriguez, Wesley Hall, Kristen Huell. Couldn't have done it without them, and everybody on the side of the ATU, Curtis Howard, come to the table. And so this is monumental. It really is going to make a huge change there for the employees at the Escambia County Area Transit. And Rod, it's the last piece that we need to move forward, buddy. So congratulations.
And Wes, I guess part of my comments were this was what we had passed previously. So unfortunately, they've missed out on that time that this could have been in effect, but glad that they were able to reconsider it and signed it. So if there's no other discussion, I would move the item in the affirmative.
We have a motion and a second. Please vote. Brother Jeff?
Yep.
5 in favor. Wes?
Card 3-1, Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, this is concerning the ratification of my selection of a Chief Information Officer. His name is Russell Clark. He's coming to us from Rutgers University. Mr. Clark will be here on the 5th, so I can introduce him personally. But I want to get the ratification behind us. He is going to be bring a huge wealth of experience and knowledge. But I think what impressed me the most was his ability to, the amount of professionalism he carries himself with and the leadership that he's going to demand out of his department. And I think it's going to be fantastic for us.
Mr. Chairman, Mr. Jones, I just quick comment before I move the item is Wes, I just appreciate you continuing to work on this. Of course, we would have loved to have had him a couple months ago, but I think just like bringing Joy back and reaching out to her, you know, we went through the process, and he was selected, and whatever the situation was, but to continue to work that relationship and get him on board, I think it's something we need, so, no, okay, no action then? All right, perfect.
All right, great. Wes?
Card 3-2 is concerning the appointments to the Merit System Protection Board.
I'm sorry, Madam Council, do we need to approve that? I apologize.
Yeah.
For MSPB, you have to vote for one.
No, confirm the director.
No,
Yeah.
we vote on that? I thought Wes
You
just.
do have to vote on it,
I
yes.
apologize. All right,
Okay.
a second,
At
Commissioner
the
Benders.
department head level and above, you do need to bless your administrator's choices.
Robert, so you're
Well, good.
confirming selection?
Yes.
I second it.
We're good. Now, you know, they work for you, Steve. I didn't know that. Yeah, it passes 5 in favor. I mean, I thought it was all, yeah. So we vote on all director positions,
There's a state statute that does require that there be essentially a blessing of the largest segment of the organization and higher, which I typically have read to mean department head level or above. Different administrators have called department head different things. We used to call them section chiefs, but that level and above. So department head and above, you should be blessing the appointments. You don't get to select who, but you are supposed to give a thumbs up or a thumbs down to who is put forward by your administrator.
okay. We're waiting on the votes for number 2.
Mr. Chairman, we have 4 votes for Larry Smith and 1 vote for Rafael Lopez.
Chair, entertain a motion.
Move to appoint Larry Smith.
Second.
That passes 5 in favor.
Mr.
Okay.
Chairman, that's my report.
Thank you. County Attorney's report.
Yes, sir. I have 2 items for your action today. I'll take them separately. The first item is a request to put into place a restated interlocal agreement relative to the operations only of the medical examiner's services via DOMS. This is each of the 4 counties in the district being asked to put into place a new interlocal agreement. The Okaloosa County Board of County Commissioners unanimously approved the interlocal on Tuesday. The Santa Rosa County Commission will be taking this issue up next week. I have not confirmed the date of the Walton County vote, but the DOMS Board did already look and vote 3-1 in favor of the interlocal. I do know that Mr. Schiebler has had conversations with your budget director, with me, and maybe with some of you all. I think the interlocal is ready to go forward. If you have any questions, I can try to answer them.
Any questions?
I would just say, you know, the 1 vote on that board was us, and I would say that it's because typically we do not do rollovers. You know, I have yet to really understand the need for it. I think there was some concern over receiving of payments, and I said I'd be happy with an advance, which is what we do for visit, and but you know, I don't. I know Okaloosa's taking it up. Santa Rosa and Walton are seeing what we're going to do. Just from the timeline, I had a talk with an Okaloosa person who said they'd be open to having it be contingent upon approval by the chairman. I don't know if we want to do that, but you know, I think overall this is I mean, Madam Attorney, we had a number of markups on the previous draft that I think have mostly been adopted.
Absolutely. For example, the termination provision is back to what we wanted, which was a 90-30 instead of a 180 and 1 year. So
And then, Stefan, you've had some talk to them about how they can do put this in an investing account or something like that, so they can make money off of it, I guess, is what you could say. You would just talk about that for a second. So And I know that it's not best practices to do this, but it's not illegal to do it. And, you know, it's of course something that we're hesitant on, I guess would be the best say.
Correct. I think it's, as long as they are sharing that information with all 4 counties, should be acceptable. I've had conversations with Ms. Sharon Harrell with our clerk's office. Our clerk's office does a fantastic job with our investments at the county. Certainly, if you leverage the tax dollars to decrease the tax burden ultimately on the taxpayer by making prudent financial investments, it's a conversation that they would just need to have with their banking institution.
And I didn't see it in here, but it was my understanding that we would be responsible for 50% of this. Sorry, not 50,000. 50,000, not 50%, and the other.
It's roughly 45.5%.
So it is based on their portionate amount. So
Yes, sir. That is my understanding. I believe that was around 58,000 would be the impact to Escambia.
Commissioner, what would you like to do?
Yeah, whatever you want to do, Rob, let's just
Commissioner
do it.
Berry, I think in the grand scheme of things, to get this across the finish line, I don't think it's that big of a deal. You know, again, it's, I would just ask that the Donuts Board make sure that they have oversight over it.
So to move to prop it?
I'd move to adopt it. then,
Second.
yes.
Second.
So, all right, 5 in favor. Okay, thanks.
And the last item for you today is a resolution that is intended to lay the legislative finding foundation for the use of TDT funds for 52% of the Marine Resources Division. I can try to answer any questions.
Everybody, we good with that?
Yeah, I was just gonna say, do we need to make any statements, or is the resolution itself enough of a statement?
It doesn't hurt to say that you're adopting the findings set forth in the resolution, and you
Okay.
also have my assurance, and Madam Clerk, you have my assurance that should the TDT auditors come back with any additional specific comments, we will bring back to you an amendment to the resolution, because it's certainly our intent to ensure that we are properly using the TDT funds.
And so, and then we're going to forward this to them to show that we have, to what we believe to be in compliance with our response and their findings.
We can certainly do that now. I do also know that we should be anticipating a follow-up at the 18-month mark by the TDT auditors. They did tell us that they will be returning at 18-month mark to ensure that we are in compliance with all of the comments that they provided us.
Okay.
So, Rob, what does this do to visit? I see Darren here. I don't know if Darren had a comment or not. Darren, did you have a comment on this item at all?
It should be like 60.
All right. So, Rob, does it affect visit? I mean,
It doesn't. It doesn't.
Okay.
Jeff, did you have a comment?
No, I just was going to say, and this has been socialized with the TDT, with the TDC as well. We discussed this. I mean, I guess I'm looking for assurances that. I mean, I know I've discussed it with them.
Yeah.
And I think in your TDC meeting, they were saying that we didn't have to have the nature center.
Right.
It came from all that, and that the chairman said that all those were already approved.
Yeah,
I think we're just taking the legislative action from our board that we recognize those as.
Yeah, and it's all legitimate. I'm just ensuring
This is
that.
to, yes, this would be to lay the legislative findings by this board, which this board does have to do.
Sure.
In order to use TDT funding, and it is not intended at this point to fund 100% of marine resources.
Just
This
the
is for
52.
52%.
Was it funding 100% at one time?
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
And so then we got clarification, and now we're funding at 52%.
We are legislatively determining that we want to use
Oh, we're
TDT
determining, or is it
funds.
statutorily?
This is your legislative finding foundation that you wish to use. There's sufficient promotion of tourism by your Marine Resources Division, and that you want to spend 52% of that department's budget to be spent, use TDT funds for 52% funding of that department.
I would say previously we had the
And
legislative
what
finding.
brought us to this, Robert? What brought you
The
to this
audit.
point?
The
The
audit.
audit basically said you shouldn't be paying 100%, and we should only be paying 50%.
No.
I'm just trying to get the clarification why we go
Yeah,
from 100 to 52%. I mean, it's not in my lane. I'm just trying to understand.
Well, the audit, Commissioner May, and some of the findings that we had said that perhaps it wasn't justified to use 100% of it. because 100% of what they do is not tourism. That was my understanding. It's come to the.
Oh, okay.
And so I think we're doing this to just kind of clarify it and put ourselves more in alignment with what.
Okay. I mean, that's a reasonable answer, Jeff. I mean, I don't know.
I think even just to put it more simply, there was concern about whether or not this board laid a sufficient legislative finding for the use of TDT towards marine resources. The amount of the marine resources budget that should be funded by TDT, I would say is still within your purview, but based on the analysis that's been done internally as well as at the TDC, is that the appropriate amount at this time would be 52%, and also that you're also finding the legislative reasons that that department does enough tourism promotion that that is an okay number.
All right, I mean, that's y'all's lane. I
It's
mean, I
not
get
going to
it.
be 52% of your budget,
So-
because we can only pay those things that come through statute. And you also have an item on this agenda that you're going to pay 100% off. So you're going to have reconciling items. So every invoice that comes through, that is A through F, or whatever the resolution said, those key words, you have determined that 52% is applicable to tourism. So your office will do the reconciliation at the end of the year and do your transfer.
So, Rob, do you have?
Sorry,
Yeah, that's not my understanding of
My
it.
understanding is that we figured that roughly 52% of the budget were items that fell under that, and so those items would then be approved. Not just the 52%.
From the
It's
department.
the specific items.
Right, but from the department, we will make, as we make expenditures, we will allocate TDT eligible funds towards TDT and not, we'll use other sources of funds for those items that aren't. So we will do the accounting.
But there's also, in the backup, there's additional items that are going to be funded 100% from TDT in Benders, Pensacola Beach, and out at Perdido Key. What I'm hearing from the clerk is now, you think only 52% of those items?
No, sir. What
Okay.
I'm saying is they will have to do the accounting because you
Oh, of
will
course.
commingle 100%, 52%.
That goes without saying.
Salary
That
is
goes without saying.
60, 40%. You will
Yeah,
have to.
yeah, listen, I got to get out of here, man, if y'all make the motion. I mean, if y'all going to do it or drop it.
Yeah.
We're good.
Okay.
I would just say this, that, we felt, I think this board hadn't made the legislative action previously that those items were all served a TDT purpose, tourism purpose. But given the fact we're just.
And you're taking on advice of legal, this is what legal's advised, and y'all all
Yeah,
good?
Well, plus, I think what they came to an agree with TDC board on. So, and in that case, I'd move
All
I
right,
would move
let's
to
go.
adopt and, sorry, what was you said I just need to recognize that.
That it is, as part of your motion, intending to adopt the legislative findings in the resolution.
Okay, and intend to adopt the legislative findings and the resolution.
Check, yep. If y'all got to go back to it, y'all can go back to it. 5 in favor, thank you. All right, anything else for the good of the order? We stand adjourned.